Namaste. Marriage is an institution, and this institution is going to be there for many, many years to come. There are many people or many scholars who have criticized this institution, but still, in our human world, marriage as an institution will always remain. Whether it works for you or it doesn't work for you is a totally different case. But the institution of marriage will always remain. And now coming back to this topic of identifying certain astrological signs that signify a difficult husband or a bad husband. Now before I get into this, let me tell you, many a times when there is a mismatch, then the wife may feel that her husband is bad. But if the same husband comes out of that marriage through divorce and gets married to some another woman, then that marriage many a times work, and that wife may always feel that her husband is very good. What I'm trying to say is that when there is a mismatch, then you start feeling that the person is wrong, the husband is bad, because it is a mismatch. But the same husband or the same man, when he comes out of that marriage and marries some another woman, then for that woman, that same person becomes godly. So for you, he was a evil person, but for her, he is a godly person. So it all comes down to that matchmaking. That is why Guna Milan is very significant in our Vedic astrology. But along with Guna Milan, there are also other aspects that one has to see, which I am not going to discuss in this podcast because the subject of this podcast is identifying certain placements that signify a difficult, challenging, bad husband. But I wanted to make this clear that in a certain marriage, a husband or a wife may appear as bad. But in another marriage, maybe in the second marriage or third marriage, the same person is something else. Positive. So now I will discuss more about these indications of a bad or challenging husband in your birth chart. So let's begin. A right person in a wrong place can cause much damage. Then the right person also starts appearing as a bad person. Many a times a good woman is forced to marry a man whom she dislikes, and thus such an unfortunate woman is bound to suffer in a miserable marriage. In such a marriage, neither the husband is happy nor the wife. Still they continue with their marriage because they are much worried about their social image. Divorce is considered as a taboo in many societies, and generally affluent men in higher positions try to avoid divorce or divorce because what will people say? And so continues the saga of pain and suffering. Husband and wife live together under the same roof but in separate rooms. Neither of them want to see each other's face, but prestige and image is what compels them to live in a failed marriage. Interestingly, it is observed that love marriages have turned out to be a nightmare because after marriage, the lover turned husband is no more caring. Instead, becomes more quarrelsome and evil by nature. He becomes possessive and always doubts his wife's character. By chance, if he sees her with a male friend, then he starts doubting her character. At times, such husbands go to the extent of calling their wife a prostitute. Just because she goes around with another male, she becomes a prostitute in the dictionary of such an idiot husband. So, it is a myth that only in arranged marriages bad husbands are found. In fact, in love marriages also, you will find more bad husbands because love marriage is a marriage of intense emotions. And so, where there is intense love, there is intense hate also. When marriages fail, husband starts seeking a soulmate. They think that a soulmate will change their life. They think that a soulmate will be better than their wife. But this is just an illusion of their mind. Such a husband will make the same hell out of a soulmate as he have been making out of his marriage. Nothing changes except for the word, the label. Such a husband can change the word wife to the word soulmate, but he is the same. He is the same person. He hasn't changed. And as long as he remains the same person, he will continue to make the same hell out of soulmates. To all those wives who have suffered in their marriage or who are suffering in a marriage, you all must understand that whenever you suffer in marriage, it is primarily connected with your past life karmic dues. Sometimes the husband is truly the most bad, insensitive animal whom you have to tolerate because of certain compulsions. In this podcast, I am sharing certain planetary placements that signify a bad, insensitive husband who is as good as an animal. In fact, animals are also better because they at least have some gratitude. But such a dirty, poor character husband is an ungrateful man and causes much pain to his wife. The worst a husband can do is to doubt his wife's character and to call his wife a prostitute. And a husband who physically abuses his wife or cheats his wife by sleeping with another woman is indeed a very unfortunate thing to happen. And at some stage of life, such an abusive, cruel husband have to pay back for all that he did to his wife. In a woman's chart, the foremost planet that signifies happiness from marriage is Venus. The second planet is Saturn, since Saturn rules the 11th house of the Kalapurush Kundali, and Saturn is also directly connected with past life karmas. The Prarabdha karma comes under Saturn, and Prarabdha karma is the karma of your past life. Remember, karma is of three types: Prarabdha karma, that is your past life karma; Sanchit karma, that is the whole sum of all your past lives karma; and the Kriyamana karma, that is the karma that you do on a daily basis. Prarabdha karma, Sanchit karma, and Kriyamana karma. So karmas are of three types, and Saturn signify the Prarabdha karma. So when your marriage is failing or when you suffer in your marriage, it means that your Prarabdha karma is not good. And you have to take special efforts in improving your Kriyamana karma. Kriyamana karma is the karma that you do now. So if you start doing some good karmas now, then the next life you will have a better version of a husband. The third planet is Jupiter, because all ceremonial rites such as marriage or court marriage is validated by Lord Jupiter. The fourth and the last planet is Sun, Sun signify your status and dignity in society. Failure in marriage can impact the woman's dignity and status in the society. So Venus, Saturn, Jupiter and Sun signify the overall condition of marriage in life. Now that I have discussed the planets signifying the condition of marriage, I will now discuss the houses in the birth chart that also play a significant role when it comes to your marriage. 7th house, 11th house and 2nd house signify the overall condition and quality of married life. If you look deeply, then you will realize that in the Kalapurush Kundali, 2nd and 7th house is ruled by Venus, whereas 11th house is ruled by Saturn. And both 2nd, 7th and 11th, all the three houses are very critical when it comes to a married life. I will now quickly highlight certain placements that signify a difficult, insensitive, bad husband. Whenever Saturn is in Mula Nakshatra, or whenever Saturn is with Ketu or Saturn is with Rahu, challenges in marriage is seen, as well as if Jupiter and Sun are afflicted, then the marriage can break apart through a legal divorce. Husband is always difficult to handle in such scenarios. Whenever Saturn is in Ashwini Nakshatra, the 7th house is occupied by Ketu, then marriage is challenging and the husband is difficult to handle. Whenever Venus is placed in the 7th house and Jupiter, Saturn are afflicted or placed in 6th, 8th or 12th house, then also marriage becomes very challenging. The fourth point is, whenever 7th house lord is placed in 6th, 8th or 12th house from the moon, then the native gets married to a person she dislikes. Basically, she is forced by her parents to get married to a person whom she dislikes. Whenever 7th house lord in ascendant chart and 7th house lord in moon chart are placed in 6th, 8th or 12th house, and when Venus is afflicted by Ketu, then marriage is problematic. Husband can cause much pain and suffering in the native's life. Whenever 7th house lord is combust and Saturn's 7th drushti is on the 7th house, and 7th house lord is in the 12th, 8th or 6th house, then marriage partner is difficult to handle and a divorce or a separation is possible. Whenever Rahu or Ketu occupy the 7th house and the 7th house lord is combust, then the marriage partner is unable to connect with the native, since both have very different mindsets and different thought processes and ideologies. Whenever 7th house lord is combust, sexual satisfaction is missing, and many a times the couple may avoid sex due to difference in opinion and disputes in marriage. But this placement signify long breaks in sexual life. Whenever 7th house lord is retrograde and Venus is afflicted by Mars or Ketu and 7th house is occupied by Ketu, then sexual satisfaction through marriage partner is less and the native remains sexually unsatisfied. Always remember, whenever Ketu is placed in the 7th house in the ascendant chart as well as in the Chalita chart, then the native is unable to find sexual satisfaction through his wife or through her husband. However, sexual satisfaction is possible outside marriage. So many a times, Ketu or Rahu in the 7th house can lead to an extramarital life.
Whenever Sun is with Rahu or Ketu and Venus is placed in 8th house, while 7th house Lord is afflicted and 7th house is occupied by a debilitated Saturn, then a marriage partner is a difficult person and the marriage struggles to survive. And now comes the 11th point, the last point. Whenever Jupiter is in the 7th house Lord is combust or associated with a malefic, and Venus is weak or afflicted, or Venus and Saturn are in Krura or Tikshna nakshatra, then the marriage is a very difficult marriage. Death of husband, or the husband kills his wife by means of black magic or through a contract killer, that is supari killer. Purva Falguni, Purva Shadha, Purva Bhadrapad, Bharani, Magha are addressed as Krur, meaning cruel nakshatras, while Mula, Jeshta, Adra, Ashlesha are Tikshna nakshatras. Krur means cruel and Tikshna means sharp like a knife. Whenever Venus, Saturn, Jupiter fall in these Krur or Tikshna nakshatras and the 7th house and 11th house Lord is afflicted by malefic planets, then the marriage is very problematic and relation with husband is always stressed. Always remember that along with the ascendant chart, the moon chart is also very, very important, because 99% of human population is driven by the mind, and moon signify mind. And so many a times the ascendant chart may not show the traits of a failing marriage or of a insensitive husband, but the moon chart always has all the signs that signify a difficult husband and a failed marriage. And so 7th house from moon, 2nd house from moon and 11th house from moon is very important, and any malefic contact to the owner of these houses can cause trouble in marriage. In fact, the moon chart is more important than the ascendant chart, because even though you are having millions of dollars in your account, still if you are not happy with your life, then what's the use? Happiness is based on the state of your mind, and so moon chart is very important. That is why our ancient sages have given utmost importance to moon signs, because finally it all comes down to that one invisible part of your body, the mind. And so whenever you plan to get married, always observe the moon chart of the man you plan to marry. If the moon chart has positive placements in regards to married life, then you can proceed further and then you can examine his ascendant chart. But the primary chart is the moon chart. If you miss to analyze the moon chart, then you miss the whole point of identifying a good marriage partner. Always focus on the nakshatras of the moon and the overall quality of the moon chart before deciding the man of your life. Enough for now. In my next podcast, I will talk on the astrological signs that signify a bad, insensitive, wicked wife. Jai Sri Ganesha, Jai Guru.